Good morning, everybody. It's Marty, the JavaScript party, and my buddy Rhett right back there. Where'd you go, girl? Oh, she's way up there. There you go. There's a nut for you. It is Sunday morning, 9:31. So I got a pretty good start this morning. I need to be these to be short though because unfortunately, well, fortunately, it's gonna be nice, but on Tuesday I'm going into my job, so like physically going into my job, so I have to drive in. So I probably won't be doing a show on Tuesday. I might, probably not though. And then so I need to wash my truck. I just need to take it to the car wash. I need to make sure it's full of gas. Just ready to roll on Tuesday. Tuesday. Get to talk to my boss. I get to talk to my boss's boss. Um, it's gonna be fun. I think, yeah, I think there's some cool stuff going on. Trying to, it'd be kind of neat. I think there's a way I can get just. It would be kind of cool to see these two next to each other now or actually these two are probably the better. Like this one and this one. See the, well, anyways, I guess not. Let's not. Would be kind of cool though if there was one that had like two of these. But And see that, anyways, I was gonna say that's like gonna be one of the cool things is being able to add and delete animations uh, to different ones and have them shared. Like these two are not the exact same animation; they're identical because the code just generates two separate objects. Yeah, so yeah, actually that'd be kind of useful. Oh, I can't though because since I don't have it built into the routing, I don't have a good way to get to the entities. So, anyways, so there's a couple things kind of going on for me. One is um, removes. I think I'm starting to experiment a little bit with emojis in my code, and I realized that oh my gosh, you could actually write code that would. I mean, you could write something that would actually go through the code and create emojis for it. But I think I like the idea of emojis because it's so much easier to scan this and see these two little red things and know, oh, okay, this is where things get deleted. Oh, this is where we get a list. And these are meshes, and this is an ID. Oh, so here I use this ID thing for it, but this one. Oh, okay, because that's a sequence whereas this is just an ID. Anyways, yeah, so it seems like a good emojis are kind of a good scanning tool, right? You can just sort of look over and you don't have to. And then what's really really nice about them is they're also easy to ignore when you're reading. So get a list of meshes that are using this STID. So when I read line 68 here, um, like it while I was reading it, I can totally ignore the emojis. And then when I'm not reading it, when I'm scanning, I can totally ignore the words. And so I could probably, I'm thinking I can um, get to, maybe I could probably use this to my benefit. And it's kind of funny because I kind of started the whole thing just out of being rebellious because I put a emoji in a work, some code in a comment at work. And and that got like called out during PR. Um, so this time but so then I was just like, that's it. I'm gonna go crazy with it on my own code, and then I'm just kind of like, oh my gosh, this is kind of nice. Um, all right, so I think we finished up meshes last time. Oh no, geometries last time, and so um, the and what's been the pattern that has been up to now is that we are finding um or we're kind of working our way down the the thing the hierarchy. So if I say, oop, that is wild. I don't know why it decided I wanted to go to eBay. um yeah, if I go to my data entities and I go and add them. So as we were deleting the geometry, so when we deleted the mesh, we had to go find our geometries and delete them. And then when I deleted my material, I had to go find, or and when I deleted my scene, I had to go find my meshes to delete them. And when I deleted my camera, I didn't have to go anywhere. And then renderer, I went down and found my renderer to delete and my camera to delete, or my scene to delete and my camera to delete. And then when I deleted the scene, now I'm deleting meshes. When I deleted my meshes, now it was time to delete the geometry. And now next will be the material, and then after that will be the animations. And then delete will kind of be done, but not really, because I started to realize a couple days ago, and now it's starting to become very, very obvious to me that I have the same problem over here. Right. So if I go to my ThreeJS mesh service, I have an array of three mesh dictionaries. And so we do have this dispose, update mesh material. Okay, so whenever you change a mesh material, you actually have to, oh, that's dispose anyways. But see, it would be kind of nice to just be able to flip through here and look for the emojis, the little destruction emojis. But see, we don't actually ever even just delete. See, we have this mesh dictionary and we never actually delete our meshes. And it's so bizarre because right now I'm just like, I almost want to be ashamed of that, right? Like, oh, why didn't I do that? See, here's where we create it. Um, but the thing is what is this one? And yeah, so here's where we get one, but we never delete it. So there is no way to delete one of these. This is a one-way street. Once something gets into this dictionary, it never ever comes back out. And we really need it to come back out. We need we need to be able to remove our, so we don't always when we delete we probably we may not need to, oh, this is to dispose my material, but when we delete this mesh I don't think we'll need to dispose of it. Maybe we will, I don't know, maybe we should. I don't think it ever hurts to dispose of something, but when we delete this, we need to go in and another architectural sort of decision is, like, when I go to delete something in this mesh dictionary, I probably don't want to oh, I probably don't need to check to see if it's being used by anything else, because like I don't want any of that sort of knowledge to exist on the three side. The three side should not know anything about how we're laying things out and all that. It should just only know about ThreeJS, and that's it. So when I say delete a mesh dictionary, it should just delete it. It shouldn't even be. It shouldn't be. So like the rules on the ST side is, hey, when I go to delete something, I need to make sure that I can actually delete this. And then once I'm sure I can actually delete it, so if we go into the ST service and I do my, in here I do delete, right? So, and it would have been so much easier to find that delete if I had right here said, right? Like I would be able to say, oh, okay, there was a delete operation that happens here. I could see that right there visually. So when I was scanning over all this code, I was looking for the word delete here, but someone, especially if you're working in other languages with other languages, um, they might say mesh delete, not delete mesh. See, delete mesh is a very English um, structure, right? Like we say fast car, that's the way we do it. But there's other languages where they say car that is fast, right? Not fast car. And so people from that language would be more likely to write mesh delete. Well, when I'm looking, I've trained myself to sort of look at the front of all these functions as I'm scrolling through and to find the one that says delete in it, right? I trained myself to do that. I'm literally just working through this right now. Well, if some other foreigner writes code and then they write mesh delete, my whole system just fell apart. Right? It's the whole system I didn't even know existed, so then that's even worse. But if we both agreed to put one of these little comments here before every delete statement, um, then all suddenly it's just like I don't have to look for this anymore, and my eye could find this icon so much faster than it can find this collection of words. So that lowers the cognitive load on my brain. But if someone comes in and just starts putting emojis all over the place, then it will probably not lower the cognitive load. It'll actually increase the cognitive load. So this is like a great power requires great responsibility kind of thing, and it's just very easy to do. And um, to create a, you don't need a, you don't, it's not like the built into it is a lot of times when you're trying to learn how to do something as part of the learning process, you develop some wisdom around that. But creating emojis doesn't really require a whole lot of training. So you could actually just really screw the whole system up, which would, I guess, be pretty heartbreaking if someone went in and just started putting emojis everywhere and they didn't understand your special emoji language. And I would imagine if 100 different developers were to come up with their own special emoji language, it would probably be 100 different ways. So before we could ever do this, we would probably need to add we would need some sort of system that we all agreed to, and then once we got that system working, then we'd be able to communicate a lot better. Um, but yeah, so there's probably going to be like this is going to be one of these like two steps forward, one step back, another step forward, five steps back kind of things. Because I do think that yeah, emojis are pretty cool. Um, but anyways, yeah, I'm gonna have to go back and figure out. We're gonna have to circle back around in this. We're already in a rabbit hole, and then there's another rabbit hole. But let's go ahead and play out the whole. Um, we still have two left, right? So if I go here, delete, hit back, we still have a material to delete and animation to delete. Um, and the nice thing about material, well, actually, for both of them at this point, I think I'm just going to delete them. I'm not going to do any checking because, and I'll just put like a comment that says, in the future, go ahead and delete that. And I think actually what I'm going to do, one of the things I'm going to implement is if I get a comment, if I see a comment and it doesn't have an emoji in it, then it's a comment that is just there until it's like a to-do comment. But should delete. Okay. Um, so I think the word then would probably be also um, kind of like shift. Uh, probably should be like a question mark, right? Like, and so this is like, I don't know. Like I said, I don't really, I'm sort of inventing this for the first time in my life. So, see, I don't like how that looks, but I do actually want the spaces in there. So if this gets shown in some other thing, they won't be jammed up on each other. But so this is like a question mark, but it's not a question mark saying, hey, I have a question. It's like there's a decision. This is a decision thing. And actually, I guess it's not, it's the otherwise that throws the question mark, not the then. But to me, this seeing a delete, um, seeing that tells me that this is a keeper, that this is an actual keeper. Again, I don't get a list. Let's see, control put list, LIST. Yeah, so this is going to be my list, the clipboard. Now, it's kind of hard because, like, I absolutely cannot ever, 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 ever do this at work, right? Putting emojis in is an absolutely forbidden. So, like, I am starting to kind of develop a pattern, a habit, and I'll probably need to do this while I'm coding at work, while I'm developing at work. I'll be able to do that. I'll probably use emojis to help my process. to help me get things done faster. And it actually will be nice because whenever I'm doing like my little work through, so this is mesh service, and I hit this, I think if I see any emojis on this side, I'll know, oh, okay, wait, no, I need to take a closer look at this code before I do a commit. So I think that's pretty nice too. So it's so funny because like, yeah, they tried to kill emojis for me at work, and then um, the and then they ended up making me just absolutely fall in love with them, which is how life is. I mean, that is just so the nature. Nothing ever works the way you want it to work. So, anyways, we want to delete our material. And so, in order to delete our material, whenever I delete a mesh, so that we're in the right place, and see, I found that, man, I found that quickly. I will admit, I saw the delete mesh first because I've learned that, but um, I like, I did this. And you know what the other nice thing about, I guess, the process at work, if I start using emojis in my comments, but then I remove all of them before I do commits, then it'll be really hard. It would be very easy for my brain to immediately orientate itself and be like, oh, okay, this is code that I'm still working on. Oh, this is code that is done, and stuff like that. And like I said, anything you could do to sort of lower the cognitive load at when you go to actually figure stuff out, like you just get a lot smarter. I've actually been watching people talk a lot very carefully lately, and I noticed that a lot of people seem to have a ton of processing that's happening between every word. It seems to have crippled them. Like when they talk, they're just very like it kind of puts them in sort of a monotone sort of like I'm not sure what I am doing right. Like they get into this sort of because they're processing so much between words, and they're being so careful with everything they say. Um, so anything you could do to lower that amount of processing, unneeded processing, um, memory leaks, basically, these things are gigantic memory leaks, is what these people have. Anything you do to sort of lower that will make you you'll be able to think clearer and do things better. See, and then this is also a delete. And see, and that's the thing is like from a in my emoji view of the world, this is a deletion. But in my human reading view of letters and stuff, this is putting it back so that it can be reused. Um, the ID. So like all I need to know, like when I'm looking over things, is that something that used to exist doesn't exist after this next line of code. That's all I need to know. But when I actually read it, then I need to know, oh, okay. And say, I almost feel like, okay, I want, and this is so fun for me, right? And you need to have fun in, so this is delete an ID. So we're deleting an ID. I should be able to say that. But over here, I'm not really deleting it, I'm recycling it, right? It's the exact same thing, just different word. One is like delete, and who cares if I ever, like that thing is gone and I never worry about it. The other is, okay, it's gone and now I can reuse it. Um, but like when you're in this mind, part of your mind where you're in the scanning mind, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you can reuse it in the future. All that matters is that it's going to be gone. So I feel like that is so communicates so much better. Like this is deleting something, this is deleting a specific ID. I think we'll want to do that. And it's just going to take time. It's going to take time to explore and try different things and figure out what works best. Now, what's weird is like if you develop a skill like this and you have to do it like sort of under the covers, like because it's forbidden network, it's like the forbidden fruit, then then it starts to really work for you, right? Like you start doing it and you're like, oh wow, this really works. You kind of look like you're being sneaky. So you have to be very like if anyone's ever working with you, you have to be very explicit that hey, yeah, this is just something I do so that when I'm looking around. But and it is kind of thing that will kind of make you seem like legendary to people. Like they'll be like, oh, like magical, like the alchemist, right? Where they're like, oh man, like it's crazy. He's got all these emojis in there. And like, and then he's created. It's this other secret language that he's sort of created. And creating secret languages is not a particularly difficult thing. I think if you take any set of kids and you let them, four kids, and you let them sit play with each other every day for 4 hours for a year, in a year they will have their own secret language. I mean, it's just like our nature. We love doing that. It's because it just feels really good when you create a secret language. And like by secret, it's sometimes you're secret because just no one else cares, right? Like it's not you're not secret because you're trying to keep it to yourself. You're secret because like literally nobody cares. Um, but anyway, so we're deleting this, and now we want to go to your geometry service. No, we want to go to our mesh service. And when we go to delete our, see, we call the ST geometry service. Now, I would admit we are in the mesh service, so we probably already have the, and this is also a delete. And see, this is a delete a geometry. And I'm wondering if I want to do that. Like if I want to say, like come up with like a, and I don't, yeah, come up with an icon for geometry for all the different types. So like calling this a geometry. Is that right? Or am I calling those meshes? So, and that is the wrong I, emoticon. I do think that though, I genuinely believe that this is going to make my life a lot easier. And if it gets picked up by the industry, going to make all our lives a lot worse. Um, because I could totally see like the industry deciding, okay, now you're going to be certified in creating icons for code, and this is how we do it, and this is the JavaScript icon markup thing. But the thing is then I guess it would get better after that because what would happen is I could see somebody writing code that does a static analysis of this and then creates little icons for everything that's happening, which would be interesting because then like recyclable sequence surface, recycle ID, like let's say there's a ton of stuff going in there, this whole chain may be like 20 icons long, and then it might be like, ooh, that's kind of a code smell. We probably should never go deeper in than one, like four or five. You probably should never have more than four or five icons for a given line of code. Like so, this is very clear, and this doesn't delete an ID, right? This deletes a mesh, and I don't know what we would do for mesh. I don't doubt they have anything. Um, let's see. Let's see if ChatGPT can show us a list of emojis. Can you show me a list of emojis? All right, there we go. This is see how easy it is just to scan through all these and all that. Food and drink. Oh, you know what? Like a net, if there's some kind of net or something. Is there shapes? Okay, circles. Those are not circles. Triangles, squares, and blocks. It's so crazy. I cannot believe there's not just an obvious colored squares. Okay, so uh, is there something that would represent a net? Uh, uh, oh, okay, so that would be a good one. Oh, so what is the mesh one? Spiderweb. Okay. So it's spiderweb. So here we're going to say we delete a spiderweb. And a spiderweb is actually a pretty good thing. There we go. So here we delete a mesh. That's going to be our mesh emoji. I'm going to try anyways, try to remember that. I will admit I do have a bit of a trouble staying consistent. But it's just so hard to improve if you stay consistent. Like consistency is sort of the enemy of innovation. Innovation is sort of the enemy of consistency. And see, that used to be the fun thing to talk to ChatGPT about. You could say something like, "Do you think consistency is the enemy of innovation?" And you can almost guarantee that it's going to say, "Oh, well, there is definitely a lot, but we need to tighten this up a little bit." It's just like, no, and then you could take exactly what it told you and paste it back to it, and it would be like, "Yeah, no, see, that's a good one, but we need to tighten it up a little bit," or that has it, and it'll just like it just argues for the sake of argument now at this point in time. But anyways, all right, so we want to delete our geometry, and now we want to also delete a material. So, and I would say there's probably let's see if there's a 90% chance that, oh, so that's for matter. Ma- Mate? What is that? I wonder. If you mouse over, does it tell you what it is? I think I can do this. What is this? I can go in here and say, what is this? I don't know what that is. Oh, mate. That's a drink? Huh. That's interesting. Um, see if it's got a good one. We don't have a single generic material. Yeah, brick is perfect. Actually, oh, well, fabric. Ooh, I kind of like fabric. Yarn, wood, rock. So yeah, I think that's a cool one. But component, puzzle, that. So I think the brick is a good one for material. Let's hope we can remember that. It'll be interesting to see if like I can remember these. It does help a lot. that with underwear. Um, it does help a lot that um, so this deletes the delete material, and then this one is delete mesh. Oh man, I need to let the dogs in. Well, it is, what is it? It's 10 o'clock. I do have some neighbors, but they that would be annoyed by the barking, especially if it woke them up. But uh, wait, wait, that's geometry. See already. Um, oh, and I think I wanted to do it the other way around. I changed my mind though. So I before yesterday, I think I was putting like the word delete before the thing, but before the emoji. But I think I would rather do it after. Um, um, so yeah, because I think it is easier to scan that first line for these. So I know we're deleting and then a geometry, deleting a material, deleting a mesh, and deleting an ID. All right, so now this is, I love how these all line up too. Um, so now we want to delete a material. So we need the material st material service. So, and we're already doing that, right? And we're saying delete st material. And I'm just going to say delete st material. So I'm not even going to implement the sort of searching for things because already I'm starting to think this is a mistake, right? This delete st geometry for st mesh, but maybe not. Okay, no, actually I've changed my mind again for st mesh. And now I'm not even going to use my, and we need the material ID, const st material ID, colon, number equals, and this is a good one. I don't know if I want to put emojis on this. St mesh dictionary, mesh ID. And I think there was definitely st material ID. There was definitely a time where I probably would have rather passed the whole object over to these things so that it's just like whatever you do whatever you do with this. Here's the object. But I totally have changed my mind. I do not want to have to, if I decide to change the structure of the mesh dictionary, I don't want to of the actual mesh. And instead of it being like, do we still have this one up over here? Yeah. Instead of it being like a mesh ID, it's just like a something else, whatever. Let's say we change it to a string. I don't know. Just if we change the structure, I don't want that. I don't want to have to try to figure that out in the delete st geometry for mesh. It just gets an ID and deletes it. It doesn't know how to look inside of a mesh and determine what the correct material ID or what the correct ID is. Like it shouldn't care. It should have no idea what other geometries exist on the mesh that we're trying to delete right now. And then mesh ID, material ID, and then mesh ID. All right, is it? I think it's just upset that that doesn't exist, but it is possible that I missed. Oh, I did. Definitely misspelled material. I added an extra IAL. It is wild that I do that. all the time. I've always been like that. I remember I used to have a friend that used to give me a hard time when I was a kid because I called the game Defender Defendender, and I was like 14 years old at the time. So I clearly this is you always have to like as you start to get age, as you start to age and you start to approach 60, what happens is you start to just get hammered with like all kinds of ads and all kinds of information telling you how you're becoming like you're starting to get dementia or you're starting to get Alzheimer's or whatever. Like they do everything they can to make you believe that you're getting. I don't know who they are, but though people, okay, I know who they are. They are the people that buy data. The people that buy data, what they do is they look at this big collection of data and then they bubble you up. They have these bubble charts and they bubble you up and they have like a little drop down and they say, show me everybody that's like this. And it makes a bunch of bubbles and it puts you in your bubble. And then you say, "Hey, babe," and then you say, "Okay, well, show me everybody like that is like this and has that," and they bubble you up. And so I happen to be in a bubble where we just get tons and tons of communications designed to make us believe that we're losing our minds. So you always have to think, okay, is this something I did when I was younger, like defendender? You know, I wrote Defendender when I was 14 years old. Now I wrote Material, you know, so I'm just doing the exact same stuff I did when I was a kid. And it's a shame that you have to think that way, but unfortunately you have to really watch out for how you interact with the world because the world is trying to convince you of certain things that probably are not in your best interest and very likely not true either. Now we know we want to do a delete of our material service, and we don't need to have the deferred dependencies because it doesn't need to check with anything above it before it deletes a material. Right now, we will just delete a material. In the future, we'll probably have to check to see if this material is used in other meshes or in other places at all. But for now, we're we're going to delete it from this list. So I think this was called, I can't even remember. So we'll hit the little back button up here. We'll hit it again. And we'll, hey girl, how are you? Are you crazy Daisy? My dogs are trying to convince me to take them out for a walk right now. Sundays are a little bit are kind of interesting because I generally get a chance to take them for a walk at the end of the evening today. So I, don't really necessarily need to take them out for a walk in the mornings. And I think it's good to change things up on dogs. Um, so this is ST material ID. And again, I am just going to go in here and willy-nilly without any, just go crazy. I'm just going to go crazy and I'm going to rename this. Now, that is no big deal, right? Like literally no big deal right now in this context. Renaming this is easy peasy, no reason to um no reason to like check in with anybody or put any thought into it. I can just rename it. But boy, can that be an absolute disaster in on a team. Because the you we, it's very very likely that that's a very very high possibility of getting a Git conflict when you change something like that. Um, so if you're working just you as an individual, it's great. If you're working uh, with a very, very small team, it's great. Let everybody know. But if you're working like on a multi-team agile, you need to be careful with that. And that is why when I'm working on that kind of scenario, instead of this, I like to do it like this. And that's because it sure is nice if the next person, the only difference between your code and their code was a comma right there because they added a comma and added something else. That is such an easy Git conflict to resolve. If it's all on one line, it can be very, very difficult to resolve something like that. But anyways, so we get a material ID. I believe that's the first thing, and then we get a grid ID, ST mesh ID, and that's also a number. And we return a Boolean. Boolean. And I never can stay consistent on this too. Sometimes I like to put my curly brackets up there. Sometimes I like to put it down here. True. Right. So now let's see if our transpilation error went away. Yes, it went away. So this is actually going to do a delete, right? So we can just go like that, boom, and delete. And we are deleting a material, which I believe that's how we're doing that. So now we know we delete a material, and literally all I'm going to do is say delete. I think we also need to material dictionary. Yes, we need to fix that up there. And And then we also need to delete our ID. I need to add my this to that. And then cyclables. And everybody, we know that everybody that interacts with ST at all, like that, or that any of these sort of high level ST entity services all import the recyclable sequence service. So, and if you're anything like me, you're wondering, why in the world are we not doing this pattern, like where we check up with the other parents and all that? Because we purposely did that just to make space before. But at this point, we're not doing that. We're not making space for it. And it's because, well, it's very clear how to make space now for this. Or it's very clear how we're going to do this, and that it's not going to be a big deal. Like we're going to be able to we're just going to be anything that uses a material, we're going to be able to load it up as a deferred dependency. And then once we've loaded up as a deferred dependency, we can just add a function that checks for stuff and lets us know if we can delete it, or we can, or not lets us know if we can delete it. It lets us know whatever information we're asking for, and then this can decide it. Like we know how to do that. We know it's not going to be like it cause a huge refactor, that it's just going to slide right in very, very, very nicely. So there's no reason to do that right now because it's very likely that that whole process may have some sort of change that kind of ripples through everything. So let's sort of wait. Now, the value of implementing something ahead of time, I don't think outweighs the value of having more flexibility down the road, I guess is what I'm trying to say. All right, so let's see. I think this is going to work. Add viz, boom, delete, back. And now we have this animation. And basically, I'm going to do the exact same thing in ST animation. And I did want to point out that there was a point in time where we were like, where I was like, there's no ST concept in anime. I don't need an animation, ST animation concept because there's no concept of animations in ThreeJS. Not really. Like they do support. So it's kind of a difference. Like there's either the concept that they've built in and sort of defined, which they have not done that at ThreeJS as far as I know. But then there's also the idea to support animations, which they absolutely have done a beautiful job implementing. So those are kind of two different things. Um, so when I say there's no concept of animations in ThreeJS, I don't mean that um, they don't support animations in ThreeJS, and I'm absolutely not saying that they haven't put thought or anything like that into ThreeJS. But anyway, so now we can recycle these materials, and now next is we want to be able to delete and recycle an animation. So let's just go ahead and just put our comment in here. And we know it's going to be an ID, that we're deleting an ID. No, we are not. We're deleting, and I don't know if maybe they have one for animation. Movement. There we go. That's perfect. So we have a little movie. That's going to be, hopefully stays as our animation movie. It'll be interesting to see how well I can remember this in the morning. I suspect I'm going to remember this really well. That I'll at least remember that we determined one, but I bet you. Well, the other thing that this really helps, right? Because all the last ones are in here already for me. What does this do? Interesting. Oh, I think this is actually the history of the emojis that I've used. That's cool. All right, so that's what here. Okay. So now delete the animation. And I think we'll be able to do it just like this one today. And animation is going to be the absolute most complex one, right? When we go to the deleting, because it has to check with everything, because everything is going to be um, animatable. Like that's my overall rule. It probably won't actually work out that way, but um, it could. It could end up working out that way. It could end up working out that every single thing I do deletes an animation. I mean, every single thing I do can be animated. Um, so there probably won't be, but like right now, that's the truth I'm operating on. All right, so let me close everything else. Close others, and this is where we should end up tomorrow morning when I go back into Mesh Service to work on this. So that'll do it for today. Tomorrow we'll delete the animations, and then that'll do it. Like delete of ST stuff is done, but now we have a whole nother rabbit hole, and I don't even know how I'm going to. I think I'm gonna have to add like um, another route, like data and three that knows how to show all of the 3J, all everything like that I have in three, but I definitely don't want like anything like this. I just want to know that they exist and what I don't even know. Yeah, okay, yeah, they exist in their type. I don't want the JSON though, and I don't want this expanding thing. I just want to know that it exists so that well, okay, so I want to finish this. I want to finish this up where I uh, have all the end-to-end testing, which should be super simple. I mean, not this end-to-end testing, unit testing, which should be super simple. Like everything I've written was very well set up for to be easily unit tested. And then I think, and then end-to-end testing, which that's super important. That's kind of the whole point of all this, is so that I can set up end-to-end testing that makes sure that these ST side things get deleted. But then I need to do a whole nother, go find that other hole and figure out, okay, how am I going to ensure that the ThreeJS things get deleted? Um, and I'm guessing that, yeah, it's going to be very similar to this, but harder. Well, the table part is going to be harder because the the what am I trying to say? Because the table part's going to be harder because each so this all gets fed out of the recycling service, but each service, the animation service, every three thing actually has its own records. So that would be interesting. And we actually did have one where I was like, wait, that's the wrong animation. And and it made sense because the actual IDs were all changing on the ST side, but they weren't. I probably had duplicate IDs over in like the animation service. So, anyways, yeah, and those are ideas that I couldn't even like fathom or even begin to contemplate before we had went down here. So I don't even know. Like right now, I feel like when I was working on this stuff, I was like, oh, okay, this is the end of the road. I see the end of the tunnel right down there. And then once I started digging in, I realized, oh crap, I still have all the three references to all the three objects, and now all the three objects are are memory leaks. My fault, not ThreeJS's fault, not Angular's fault, my fault. But the three objects are way more complex than these simple JSONs. So those are way more important to get deleted, to delete my references to anyways. Like I don't know what happens if I need to delete my references to them, and hopefully 3JS does its part, if I call like that dispose method and things like that. And not only that, but that's where I would call the dispose method. And because that was like the other thing is in 3JS, like the different kinds of things, you delete them in different ways and you update them in different ways. And that is the complexity that I want to exist inside of 3. But I don't, 3 doesn't need to know a darn thing about how the ST things are brought together or like how things are reused or anything like that, because that's all ST side. And like trying to keep those things straight in your head as an individual coder, that you are just the only coder that's individually, that's hard. Trying to do that across an entire team, damn near impossible. Like it is so hard to get everybody on the exact same page on something that complex and that abstract. And then if you're trying to do it across multiple teams that are like working in different, like you have three agile teams, oh my God, then it's damn near impossible. I don't even know. I don't even know if it's possible. And then if you're like, oh, okay, and these people are all going to have different languages that they speak, and they're going to live in totally different cultures. I don't even know that that's technically feasible. Um, and anyways, so that's that. I hope everybody has a wonderful day. Happy coding. Bye.